Hi, welcome back to another video. Sound somatic healer here, Sean Burke. So, in my previous video, I was talking about sound healing, but I'm going to do it slightly different where I'm going to be introducing to clients before the session starts. So, what will happen is we'll come into the session, we'll talk, say getting on, checking in, how are you, and then I'll ask and explain how the bowl works, talk about the benefits, about helps with anxiety, it helps with sleep, it helps with unblocking the emotions and clearing out your chakras, and also give you that energy, that boost as well, because everything's vibration with energy, and what happens when you use a bowl. So I'll get the client's hand out and I'll ask first, tap it. Once it's done, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. It all depends on how the person feels about it when I'm doing it. And I'll ask how they feel, they feel okay, feel relaxed. Because I think that's a good start, just to get into the mood, get into, into the session. And then I'll start the session. Because it's about being here, being present, and feeling relaxed and calm, and even more calmer. So it's a good start, which enjoy, because I know when I started doing the sessions I used to go to, and I still do, and they're beneficial as well, because it's nice to, I don't mind doing it here because it's like a quick thing for me, and I can do it much as I want with a client. But I also can introduce the other bowls that I've got where I could do a longer session, where I could split the session, where it could be 20 minutes with that and the other half an hour with talking. But it all depends on how the client feels, and it all depends on how it suits them on that day, because it's just a matter of talking, how they feel comfortable. I could talk about it and keep going through each one and the benefits as well, because that one is good for, like I said earlier on, with sleep, anxiety, relaxing, calming, that kind of vibe, that energy lift as well, which is powerful, amazing, and I love it. So bear in mind, whenever you want to inquire about a session, ask me about that, and I'll explain the other parts as well, one-to-one. But it's beneficial for how you're feeling, the energy you want to lift, because the world that we live in, there's always emotions that we have to deal with through work, stress, friends, family, you grieve. So that helps just to kind of feel at ease as well. But one thing I have to talk about is fear. Fear is always saying that we have to overperform, we have to do our best, we have to, keep going for the things that we want, because there is elements when we're younger, I know for a fact, is that, overachieving, trying to get that validation from family members, where our environment might be chaotic. So what happens is the lens, what we see subconsciously, we process things from our lens in front, thinking that must be right, so I should be doing that. That should be right because that's what my brother's doing, or my dad, or whatever that is. And then as you get into adult form, as you grow up, and it starts to mold and condition, and your brain starts to use that muscle memory, knowing what you've learnt from the first time, as it builds up, it starts to be the same thing, in and out, and that has to be changed. But over time, it does take time to change that and to rewire that, and the pathways in your brain where you start to change things, what you want to connect to and what makes you happy as well. because in one hand is we've been programmed in the way where we feel that must be right, so I should do it that way. But then you start to question, well, if I do it that way, I know I'll achieve this. But if you get stuck, ask for help, which is very important, because I know that times we can do these things and we'll go on, and next you know, we feel, I can't do it no more, I can't do it. And we live in that fear where we kind of shut ourselves and we close ourselves off to the world because we don't want to get embarrassed. You don't want people to make fun of you. But the best thing I can say with that is just that you take your time, what suits for you, and whenever you want to be ready to do the thing what you're going to do, as long as you are heading that direction, as long as you're making those pathways, those movements where you feel that you can do these things, because it's very important to do that. But all thing I have to say is that when we live in fear, people get it wrong, because one hand is you can live in fear because you may have not been taught the right things to move in the direction where you want to go, and the other hand is people might get it wrong and think, well, he ain't going to do that because he's lazy. But there's always two sides of the story, because we're always one-sided where we look at the lens and think, oh, okay, he's lazy, but then we don't know the other side of the story, how people feel, because then I understand there's that thing of adults of being to the point where we have to do the things to be accountable, but also if we was younger, we never had the chance to experience these things, have been taught through our mum and dad. This is where it could lack in certain areas, especially if dad's not around. I know my dad wasn't ever around when I was younger, and when I can get to the point where the moments where I had my dad around to learn these things and learn certain things, so just step by step I had to change things and change this and that outlook, and I had to really look at what was going on, because there's patterns, but also there's areas when he lived in fear, and I feel that these things start to change and shift, because I look at role models that in my life and I respect those. No different to people, going to have role models, and you idolise the people that you want to transition to the areas where you want to go in your own life, which is very helpful. This is why I think it's very important, where you write things down, how you feel in that moment, not tomorrow, not the next day, in that moment. And then in that moment, you express how you're feeling and say that how you feel, what could have been different, and you read it over and over. I'm not saying like every day for the next week. It could be for today, for example. I could write that down and say, okay, I solved that. What can I do to change it? And the next day you go, because every day is a new day. Every day is a new day where you can think, okay, well, that happened yesterday, I can change that to that. And once you start to do that, things start to change, which I know that it can happen. And then put yourself into a puzzle, into a position where you can have the right people around you knowing that, and work hard to the things what you want to do, because we're always going to have that little fear a little bit, but also it's just a matter of don't feel that way as much, meaning that you can feel it in the moment, but as long as you've got the right support and you can keep going. Like, there was a bit of me, I felt a bit of a fear, and I got scared knowing when I went to that retreat. I'll be honest with you, but you know what? All I can say is I didn't know what to expect, but I went in there, but I knew I was safe, I was okay, and I had the right people around me who would keep me safe, and I did really well. And it's a massive thing for me, this retreat, which I feel that, very honoured to be in, because I feel sometimes we live in those moments where we're scared to do things because we see that what people think, it's not what other people think. Yeah, I get it, people can have opinions, but also, what do you want in your own life? Because life is about being at peace and being happy, but also living the best life as you can as possible, what you want to do as well. Because it's easy enough to kind of do that, but also to reach out to people and talk and express that, you know what, I need help. But when I'm going back to journaling is very, very powerful. Don't get me wrong, the audio books and the books is very good. It's journaling, writing your own thoughts. Even if you can't, you could use your phone, play a voice note, doesn't matter how long it is, and leave it for 6 months and come back to it. It could be something that you wanted to achieve and you could go back to it after, or if you're feeling a bit of a certain way and you can't reach out to someone straight away, send a voice note. Because these little things, micro things, will start to help to build the habits where you want. But one thing you could do as well, do a list, things that you fear about, the things that you want to conquer, and another list that you want to achieve. And you write these lists, write each one of them down individually, and you compare them together, knowing that I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. These are things I don't like anymore, and these are things I want to do. And put these 3 lists on the wall. Doesn't matter, because you can look at what you're facing, what you're scared of, the fears and the things that you're blocking. And the second one could be things that I want to do, and the other thing could be the ones that I want to achieve. And you take your time doing these things as well, because it's about vision, it's about consistency. Consistency only can happen when you move forward. Consistency only can happen when you know for a fact you make that leap in that direction. The unknown, I call it. The unknown is the fact of knowing that you're going out there and you got to give it your all. Every dream that you expect that you want to do, you have to give it your all, because you can sit here and think, okay, but that part of it only comes from when you was younger. This is where you have to revisit and talk to your younger self about how you're feeling and connect, because that's the part of us is alive in ourselves. When we was younger, what are the things that we used to do when we was younger? You know, running around the playground, could be playing football, it could be laughing and joking, singing in the bed. Yeah, I know we're adults, but you don't really lose that part yourself. That's the part that makes you whole and complete. That's the part which is authentic, and it's real to you, and people see you for who you are, not when you're trying to be something completely different, not when your ego's in the way and you're not being yourself, and you're not checking in and being humble and being grounded and pausing the moments that, you know what, I need to take a break, you know what, this needs to change, you know what, I need to change myself, and forgive yourself. This is the part we don't forgive yourself, because when we live in fear and we're scared to do this, scared to do that, you have to forgive yourself to move forward in your own life. You got to understand, people make mistakes, we all make mistakes. It's a matter of getting the right support, the right people, because sometimes we don't have the right people to come out this fear factor part. We just don't. And times can be hard, and it's just the fact is knowing that we're having these people, the fear factor, getting scared, knowing that, thinking, you know what, my life ain't going to be the way it is. And I said before, it's non-negotiable. You can succeed where you want to be. You can go where you want to go. It's just asking questions and not living in unknown, thinking that I can't ask these questions because people might fun of me. That's what you assume, because don't forget, what's been said to you doesn't mean if it's real. It's like, for example, something out there where someone says to you, Puff Daddy's coming, or I don't know, Father Christmas, or something that you feel you believed in because what's been said to you, and you believe in every word what's been said. Because if it's been said, doesn't mean if it's happened. This is where your mind is like a Rottweiler. If you don't walk the Rottweiler, it will walk you. Your mind will take over and it will walk you. So these are things you got to pause in the moment, journal, take a breathe, relax, and also ask yourself and ask a friend, talk to someone who's close to you, who knows you in and out as a person, which is very important, because you'll know to understand what moves to take next to the next stage where you want to go. Because having that fear in ourselves, it's just the fact is that we hold on to things that we don't need anymore. Yes, we can get scared and we can get nervous, but don't, I always say, step by step, take these leaps slowly to come out of the box and be your authentic self. So again, thank you very much for this video. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.